What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Kellen here with Droid Life. So we've got the Droid 4. It's fourth version of what most of us consider the greatest phone of all time, the original Droid. Fourth version comes with obviously some big upgrades. 4G LTE is the biggest. Still has that full slide-out keyboard, which some of you can't live without, but LTE on there and a dual-core processor and a gig of RAM and all that stuff makes up what should be a pretty solid phone, right? So obviously standard Droid packaging, but Verizon there, and there is your LTE logo. So we did a quick hands-on with this at CES, but this is our chance to actually get some real hands-on time with it. So there's the phone. Just gonna set that aside like we always do for just a quick second. Dive into the box. So yeah, you have your power cable and charger, but you also have an actual battery back, or I'm sorry, a back cover. And we'll talk about this more in just a quick second. Otherwise, just manuals and standard crap. So, as you can see, the back plate is off of the Droid 4, but this is a non-removable battery. There's actually a notice there that says battery is not removable. Do not attempt to remove. You will destroy your phone if you actually take that out. So just like the Razr and Razr Max, you can't take the battery out. They've done that to try to keep it slim. And as you can see, for a QWERTY slide out, it's actually a pretty slim device. So you actually do have to put on a back cover, and they've given you this tool. Let's look. So you have to put a SIM card in. I'll do that later. Micro SD up top there. See that? And then yeah, you put this you put your battery back on there, and then if you want to get it out or take it off again, you actually have to use this little tool. So we will see how this works. Apparently you just stick it on and just slide it up until it clicks, and now it's on. And that's actually really funny. I was able to just slide it with my hand. Oh, there we go. Locked it into place. So if I want to get that off now, you can see there's just this little hole right there, and you just pop this thing in there and it should unlock it. And actually, we can probably do that for you real quick so you can see how it works. So you should just have to maybe push that in or break the tool. All right, that is not working at all. I will have to go back and figure out exactly how that works. Otherwise, it feels like I'm going to break this tool. All right, we'll figure that out later. We'll get back to you guys on that. But anyway, so non-removable battery. Once you have the back on, it's stuck there unless you can figure out how to use the tool. So anyways, peel off the front here. I always struggle with these things. There we go. Okay. There is the front gone. All right, and here is your Droid 4 by Motorola. 4G LTE, slide out QWERTY. Actually got some more plastic here on the back. Got to protect the phone, right? Protect its beauty. All right, there we go. Okay, now we've got the Droid 4 by Motorola. So you have a 4-inch QHD screen. It is not the Super AMOLED Advanced that's on the Razr. So we're expecting it to be Ultra Pentile Matrix, sort of like we've seen on the Bionic and the Droid 3. It might actually be the exact same screen as we've seen on the Droid 3. So hoping it's a little bit better, but sort of have some bad feeling about it not being. So anyway, you have a front 1.3 megapixel camera, I believe, up front. On the back is your 8 megapixel shooter, HD, 1080p video, all that stuff. Should be about the same camera that's in the Razr and Razr Max. You have a speaker down there, Moto logo, Verizon logo, LTE logo. On your, I guess that would be the left side if you're looking at it, you do have a micro HDMI and a micro USB port there. On the Razr, as you all know, they're up top. Here they've gone back to the side, which they've done for a number of devices. You have a microphone down there at the bottom, and then on your right side is your volume rocker. There you go, volume rocker. And then up top, which is sort of disappointing, is your lock switch, and then 3.5mm headphone jack. So we like the lock switch on the side. So unfortunately, they've moved it back to the top for this phone. So there's a tour of the outside. Let's go ahead and look at the keyboard, which is what most of you care about. Edge lit keys, so when this is on and lit up, you can see these white edges. They actually light up, so it glows, gives it a nice look. You can see it's full 5-row, so you have a dedicated number row, arrow pad. Yeah, pretty standard keyboard, but it does, we'll talk about the keyboard later, but it does feel soft. It does feel like you should be able to type pretty well on this thing. So anyway, let's boot it up and see what we can get. I don't think they've changed the Droid red eye at all. they've sort of, once they changed it in the Droid 2, they've sort of kept it, I think. I think the Droid 3 had the same as the Droid 2. I believe this has the same eye as well. First boot. Sometimes first boot's slow, right? Oh yeah, so that's the same as the Droid 2. I mean, there could be slight tweaks to it, but for the most part. There you go. Alright, so while that's finishing up, here is what it looks like next to the Razer Max. So it might be the world's slimmest 4G LTE slider, but it's definitely not that slim. There it is next to the Razer Max. Here it is next to the LG Spectrum. So obviously it's going to be thicker than all these phones because it has a keyboard. And the Galaxy Nexus. Doesn't that look crazy curved next to this phone? Anyway, so definitely thicker than those, but it's going to be, has a keyboard. If we look at size comparison on the front, so Razer Max 4.3 inch screen, Droid 4 4-inch, LG Spectrum 4.5 inch, and Galaxy Nexus 4.65 inch. Alright, so it's asking for a SIM. Let's see if we can go ahead and skip by that. SIM card's operated. I'll be right back. Okay, so SIM card's not in yet, but I did figure out how to use the tool. I wanted to show you guys this. So, using the tool, drop in this little hole, press down sort of firmly, and then slide your thumb on that, and it should pop right open then. So that's basically how you get that open. Then we need to lift where it says lift, to get to the micro SIM slot. And slide the SIM in this way. Wow, that's sort of difficult to get to. Slide SIM in, close that, pop the back cover back on, and boot back up. Alright, so once that gets finished, we'll be back. Okay, so we're booted. So when we ever get to this screen, we always try to show you guys the trick to bypass it, which is the four-corner touch. And now that Verizon's built in backup assistant garbage into every phone, you don't just jump right to the home screen. You actually have to bypass backup assistant. If you press home a couple times, setup is not complete. Sure you want to exit? Yes. And then it says, oh, you did not complete all this setup that you shouldn't need to do anyway. And you just say done. And then we get to blur. Alright, so Droid 4's blur, I believe, I'm just going to jump into this right away, is the same version that the Droid Razer and Razer Max are receiving right now. So you can see in the settings menu, it's got colored icons. So I'm just going to scroll to the bottom here. Oh, so 6.1.3, 6.13.215. So it's slightly newer. So the new version of blur on Razer and Razer Max is 6.12.173, I believe. So different versions, but you can see they sort of match Android 2.3.6. You can see a web top version in there. This phone does have web top. And yeah, so not the exact same as the Razer Razer Max, but pretty close. It's got that whole new look going on. All right, so if we go home, you can see it's standard blur. You guys have seen this, 100 times now. It's gingerbread, ginger blur, whatever you want to call it. So we're not going to do a full walkthrough of that right now. One thing that people have talked about and worried about is the screen. So since it's not that Super AMOLED advanced screen, it's just QHD. So as I'm flicking through this, it's tough to tell if it's really bad, like Bionic Droid 3, but so far not looking fantastic. Let's go into the app drawer. And this is where you can usually really tell. You see how everything just gets really blurred and jittery? All the white lettering just gets all jittery when you're flipping through. That's definitely QHD, so I would assume this is then not anything but the QHD that's in the Droid 3. Sort of throwing that out there. As you know, I'm not a fan of it. Some people don't mind it. Other than that, you can see MotoCast is loaded up on here. A whole bunch of VZW stuff. Let's blur. You guys know it. So 1.2 gigahertz processor, 1 gig RAM, 4G LTE. I believe it has 16 gig onboard storage. Let me look at that. Or 8 gig onboard storage and no SD card, so you'll have to slap in your own. But again, the price of this is $199 on contract, so it's not a bad deal for a 4G LTE slider. And if we go into the keyboard, it's not dark enough in here for you to see that, but these do light up when it's dark, things like that. So anyways, this is the Droid 4 first look, hand unboxing, quick hands-on, and full review coming in just a little bit. So stay with us. Droid Life, proud piece.